morning. Thanks for tuning in to the Sisters Talk podcast. I'm your host, Danny M., and I have very special guest, Mr. Cedric, aka Mr. Wholistic. About to give you a whole government name. Let me stop. We have Mr. Wholistic on the show tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I just like to say, I love what you're doing. God bless you and your platform, and I'm just honored that you reached out to me and that I have this opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pure honor to have you. And so, for people who don't know, what we're talking about tonight is nourish your mindset. Nourish your mindset. Sisters Talk is huge on self love, self care, making sure that you're doing what it takes to make sure that you're healthy mentally and also physically and spiritually. So, when I saw the videos from Mr. Holistic on his page, shout out your page, by the way, so people can know how to find you.
Oh yeah, on TikTok I'm Mr. Holistic. That's with a W, Holistic, and on Facebook it's just my name, Cedric Banks. Uh, Mr. Holistic in parentheses on the side though.
Got it. Got it. Now, man, you got to check out his videos on Facebook. This is actually how I found Mr. Holistic, and you were whipping up some sea moss on one of your videos, and I cringed because I tasted sea moss before without any additives, and I was like, man, what is this? This was a few years ago. Shout out to I forget her name now, who sold me the sea moss. But anyways, I heard that it had a lot of positive health benefits, right? So I wanted to try it out. It was short lived with me, but I'm willing to try it again after watching some of your videos.
Really, I'm gonna have to send you something.
Please, because what I had, I probably just didn't blend it right. But today we want to talk about the importance of healthy habits. Really, is all we're talking about today. Healthy mindset, healthy habits. Nobody here is a doctor. That's our major disclaimer tonight. We just want to talk to you guys from a level that we all know. There's a lot happening in the body. There's a lot of stress going on in society. And when you see videos like Mr. Holistics, where he's blending up these natural herbs and remedies to heal your body from within, it can't go without being shown and talked about, to the world. So without further ado, can you tell everybody who you are and where you from?
Yeah, again, Mr. Holistic, or Cedric. Most people call me Banks that know me. I'm from a little old town, Ashdown, Arkansas. Um, and this is something that I've been doing now for about 4 or 5 years as far as this health journey. I really got deeper into it the last 4 or 5 years.
What was a turning point for you where you saw that what you were doing was actually helping people, it was changing their outcomes?
Um, I actually I used to mix my drinks up at work, right? And people used to laugh at me, and they would see me drinking my drinks, and they'd be like, "What is that you drinking?" And I tell them, hey, look, I got some herbs in here. They was like, I don't want none of that. Friend of mine's Richard and Wyatt. They used to mellow me, laugh at me. So another guy, he was hurting. A friend of mine was hurting one day. So I was like, man, why don't you try my tea out? He was like, let me try it. So I gave it to him, and when he came back, he was just like, he was running to me. He was like, I don't know what that is you made, but I need some more of it, man. He was like, I had some kind of reaction. I felt the way I ain't never felt. And I'm like, for real? Because, I hadn't noticed that. Thank God, I just don't be having aches and pains and stuff. So, but I knew what I was, doing, you know what I'm saying? I just didn't know the extent of it.
Right.
Once that happened with him, he started telling people, a guy named Sam, he started telling people, and it just took off like wildfire. That was probably 2018.
Wow. So that was just a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was also right before the big,
Yeah,
pandemic and
yeah,
everything. So
most definitely. That's
you
what,
was ahead of the curve.
yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were ahead of the curve. That's pretty awesome. Now we talked about a lot of cool, serious topics actually behind the scenes, and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on, Mr. Holistic, because I like to do research, especially as it relates to the Black community. And I was noticing something that like one of the number one causes for death in the Black community is cancer.
Yeah,
And that's really for all races, really all races. But for a Black man, it's like 40% higher rates of cancers or death from cancer in the Black man, and also a 20% higher rate of death because of cancer for African American women. And I kind of just want to sit on that stat because that's a real disheartening statistic, right? 40%, that's almost 50% higher than any other race. Black men will die from cancer.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And
Uh,
that could be in any form.
any form. That's right. One thing, and but it's definitely in our community, but it's in our community. It's something that disease don't know no color. There's no prejudice to it. So everybody, everybody can stand and knock on their door if they're not careful.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, that's something that we should really think about. You said something about aches and pains and things like that, other ailments that happen as a result, I'm assuming, of poor dieting. When we say poor dieting, we're just talking about your everyday eating habits. So when we get up and we run into the fast food line, because I used to be guilty of this a decade ago. Every time, every meal almost, I'm running to go buy something as opposed to just sitting down cooking, right? And so I don't think we think about how nutritious it is for us to really take our time to cook our vegetables, eat fruit daily, eat something green daily. And if you just implement anything green into your diet every time you eat throughout the day, and also giving that digestive system a break from time to time as well. Like,
That
what would you say about that?
that is facts right there. The 4 for $4 and the dollar menus and that's terrible. But one of the main thing is convenience. People are dealing with issues out of convenience. They're making everything convenience. It ain't necessarily running to the fast food restaurants. If you sticking stuff in a microwave and oven, or dibbling and dabbling with processed foods on a daily basis, because people don't got time. They gotta go to work. They got kids going to school, so they ain't got time. They doing quick things that are quick, but convenience is a killer. We got to get back to decades ago, like when our grandparents and stuff, you know what I'm saying, they had gardens. They was everything they was cooking and doing was prepared fresh. We
Hmm.
can't keep running to no store every time we need something. We gotta make time.
Oh, I love it.
Cause
Well, you just said something right there. Convenience is a killer. I don't even think we think about that. We don't even think about it, right? And it's true. A lot of us are hogged down for time, myself included, especially this summer. But what I did, this is just my technique. I would always prepare food for the next 2 to 3 days. Always. And if you got somebody in the household who think they too bougie to eat leftovers, well, then you go out and go buy you something to eat. But as for me, I'm gonna eat these leftovers. And I'm also gonna pack my lunch too, and I do it for my little ones too. My oldest one is old enough to prepare her own food and she knows how to eat accordingly, according to her body, because everybody's body is different as well. That's another topic too. Growing up in black homes back in the day, our parents used to assume that what one person could eat, everybody could. That's not always the case either. Can you speak
true,
to that?
true. Yeah, that's true. And one thing, like you were saying, I tell people that come to me, I tell them all the time. One of the first things we start out talking about is your diet. Like, I need to know how serious you are, because yeah, I know people see me dealing with herbs. I post herbs. I have tons of herbs. The herbs are a blessing from God. They work, but it's not all about herbs. Your food is your medicine, and that's what I tell people all the time. Like, your food is gonna be your medicine. We gonna add the herbs in later, but first we need to get some discipline as far as eating, because it don't do no good to be taking all these herbs and looking for something to help you out, and you steadily doing the same thing that got you in the situation to begin with. So
Ooh.
things got to change. You know what I'm saying? So I try to make sure that my people is on board with me, and I tell them all the time, like, if you don't plan, you might as well get ready to fail, because you got to get a plan together. You need to think about what you're gonna do when them days when you get in a tight. You can't go back to nothing convenient, especially if you're already dealing with an issue. Here and there, yeah, but on a consistent basis, no, it's not gonna work.
Man, you just said, ooh, man, Mr. Holistic dropping gems tonight, y'all. Listen, what you said is everything. Like, because if you don't have your mind right and you don't have the discipline in order, it's not going to work. Literally, it's not going to work, and it's going to show. The results are going to show in your body, in your health, in your mind, everything. Your
Yeah,
mind is not right. This is the reason why we call the title Nourish Your Mindset. You're not going to be able to fulfill that the body goals that you're trying to achieve or get your health, to optimal level. A lot of us are in our 30s operating like we're 60 something years old based on
true.
the back pains. And I got friends that they
Right,
can't even squat anymore. They have bad knees, and that's nothing. I'm not trying to really speak against that because this is genetics too, but it also has a lot to do with what we're putting in our bodies as well, and also considering the fact that we're overweight for our height and our structure. We're not thinking about that either, especially in the black community, right? Because the thicker the better, and I'll just leave that there.
right. That's how I know. And people used to always look at you, and if you got a little weight on you, they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? You looking good?" Knowing you really
Right.
overweight though, but I
Yeah.
get what they mean. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking like you starving or sick, looking slim, but no, just because you look in a certain way, that don't make you healthy. And just because you slim don't mean you healthy either.
That's
So,
facts. It's all what's going on the inside, which is scary because we can't see what's going on.
right.
Yeah, that's scary,
Can't,
man.
can't see what's going on the inside. So you got to know what you're doing. I tell people all the time, food is not for pleasure. Food is for purpose. That's all food is for. It's for a purpose, not pleasure.
It's crazy because I've been lately watching these videos randomly on YouTube with these like Asian community, but they live on far rural areas of certain cities. Anyways, they get anything. Like they'll bunch up a lot of apples and eat a lot of seaweed, particular types of seaweed, and just eat it. That would be their lunch. They'll fry it up. They'll do all kind of neat tricks with food that we think is disgusting. We'll be like, man, we're not eating
Right,
that. But
right.
guess what? But guess what? The little Asian woman is squatting on her 2 feet. You know
Hey,
what I'm saying? She's not holding on rails, anything. She in her 70s. You know what I mean? And she out here stirring the pot and cooking. And I'm like, see, we're missing the point. We're not even seeing what's going on here. A lot of us in our 30s can't squat down low or drop it low anymore because we eat McDonald's every day. Or these other fast food places. So we gotta keep that in perspective. Shout out to Spartan, man. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We're talking about how to nourish your mindset. So the first, getting back to our list of things, the first number one killer, especially in the black community, is cancer. Number two is showing up is high blood pressure. And I know that's facts because
yeah.
I grew up in a household with people that had high blood pressure. And I don't understand. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, again, you know what I'm saying? It all goes back to your diet. You talking to somebody like, I'm not nobody out there. I'm your brother. Everything that everybody out there like, trust me, I like it. I done indulged in it. I was once dealing with high blood pressure myself, taking medication every day. One while I was on cholesterol. They told me you'll never get off blood pressure medication now that you on it. And I'm like, what?
Mm.
But that's not living. That's not no life where you getting up every day thinking you gotta take a pill. It's bigger. You gotta think outside the box. Like you can't let them folks tell you that and not strive to do something for yourself. And I can honestly say, God is my witness. I don't take blood pressure medications anymore. I don't take any kind of medication.
Look at
Um,
that.
and myself, with the help from God, you know what I'm saying? Because that's where I get my discipline, my strength from. But knowledge is power. So when you start really looking at what you eating and learning about it, it gives you a strength that you didn't, you know what I'm saying, you can tap into. Because that's exactly what it did for me. And I deal with people all the time with blood pressure issues, you know what I'm saying? So you can beat it. You can whatever's going on, you can turn it around, but you gotta have your mind. You gotta have your mind right. You gotta want it. Your will has to be bigger than your want.
Yeah, always. Just like Spartan said. And by the way, before I say anything else, wonderful testimony. So happy to know that you no longer have to take that pharmaceutical. You know what I mean? Just to get yourself
Most
balanced.
definitely. Most
Because
definitely.
we get our bodies out of balance and out of whack because of all the extra chemicals that our bodies don't need. Really all we need is the minerals and vitamins that God created on this earth. We forget about
That's
that.
all.
Think about
That's all.
that.
Body. The body is a amazing machine that you can't deny that there's a God up in heaven. because I mean the body has the ability to repair and replicate. You just body,
Regenerate. Bad cells can be regenerated depending on what it is that you're consuming. Now, I want to get deep, but I don't want to get too deep because it's certain things we can say, certain things we can't.
yeah,
But I
that's
will say this: I love the fact that you profess that there is a God and there is a higher creation. There's a Most High, because there's a lot of people who have obviously went through cancer. They've been diagnosed with cancer. They've either gotten the chemo treatment or they decided to go the holistic route, and they've been able to regenerate and repair their damaged cells, right?
right,
So we're self-sustaining if we put in our bodies what's needed in order to regenerate healthy cells. But that starts with the mindset.
most,
So
most
having that discipline, right? Having that discipline. And also, like you said, you pointed out very good facts, Mr. Holistic, when you said knowing what's in your food. Half of us can't even pronounce the first ingredient in a lot of the stuff that we buy.
right,
Snacks,
right,
fast food. They don't give us fast food with the labels of the ingredients on the fast food. They give you your receipt and you carry on.
right, right.
So these are very important. I mean, these are not only discipline facts to consider, but it's also putting you in the mindset of thinking and not just following instructions, right? It's like, oh, I know I just need to go drive through, go get me some Popeyes chicken. By the way, I didn't start eating Popeyes until this year, but I kind of fell back. And I blame my mother-in-law for that. And it's good too. But anyway, don't revoke my card, y'all. Don't revoke my card. I just wasn't big on fried anything. But when I tasted it, I was like, dang, I see why everybody want to get the chicken sandwich and fried dark piece, two-piece dark or whatever. But anyways, but you gotta, it's okay to have it. I would assume sometimes, but to be eating it every other day, and then you're not having a process of cleansing yourself, and then you're not eating any. I know some people that don't eat any vegetables at all. Can you
Right.
speak to that? That's
Uh,
crazy to me.
there's a lot of people dealing with a whole lot of issues, all because of macro and micronutrients deficiencies. And all that it really means is they're over consuming cooked foods. Once you hit a certain age, the body no longer produces certain amino acids. And the only way you're going to get them is from your vegetables. And they don't like heat. So you can't heat them up. So you need to have so many days out of the week where you eat nothing but raw foods.
Mm. Whoa, that's another big gem dropper. I guarantee you, 50% of the people that's gonna watch this show did not know that.
Yeah.
So when we heat it up, we destroy a lot of the minerals and
Yeah.
nutrients that we need.
Yes, they heat sensitive.
This is the reason why I hear so many people doing the raw vegetable diet,
Yeah,
right? Hmm.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Not it's and that's the thing. Like, it's not something where you got to go overboard with. Even this lifestyle, it's not about perfection. It's about consistency.
Hmm.
You can achieve your goals if you're consistent. If you're dealing with health issues, though, you got to take a step back and just be like, now is not the time. So you once you get over the hurdle that's in front of you, then I tell my people all the time, like, look, right now, just chill out. You know what I'm saying? Just get over this hurdle. Once you
Hmm.
get over this hurdle, yeah, go treat yourself. Get you something. You don't have to stop living life. But
Right.
right now, you need to really reevaluate what you're doing if you want to change things around. Because you can't just keep putting a band-aid on it. Everybody want a quick fix. This lifestyle is not about a quick fix. You got to be serious when you come over here and do this way.
Absolutely.
And even going to the doctor, you getting medications or whatever. That, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you got to think. You got to really think about that, because that comes with something too. Uh,
Yeah.
you're really suppressing the issue that you got, and you just basically putting a band-aid on a wound that's steady bleeding. So
Yeah.
something's gonna happen sooner or later, and then you're dealing with something that's gonna cause something else. So you could turn one problem to some other problems when you could have just kind of chilled out and maybe went
Yeah.
a different.
You could apply some of that discipline, right? Could apply some of that discipline and save yourself the trouble of all of the side effects that you may encounter later on down the line. Some people sooner than later. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Now,
Yeah.
like going back to that list though, because I'm only gonna do four of the deadliest diseases for Black people. But the third most deadliest disease is strokes. So strokes are killing four times more than the average person. So ages 35 to 54 and Black Americans are being subjected and they are dying from these strokes four times more likely than white Americans. And then Black people have nearly twice the first time stroke risk than whites. So that means your first time having a stroke, you're 50% more likely to die from it if you're a Black person than if you're a white person. And I'm assuming any other race. And that's number three on the list. Number one was cancer. Let's see what number two was again. Number two was high blood pressure, and number three was strokes. We've heard
Yeah.
all of these diseases in a Black home, I'm sure,
Most definitely.
more than
Most
what we
definitely.
have in here. Yeah. And it
Most
affects all races, of course, but it affects us disproportionately. I mean, it's just it's crazy. The last one is lung cancer. Now it shows here that lung cancer, Black men are 50% more likely than white men to get lung cancer in their lifetime. And that's regardless to tobacco exposure. We're just talking about basic pollution that's in the air. And I actually did a segment, Mr. Holistic, not too long ago on lifestyle and environment, where we were dropping the stats on the different types of pollutants that are in the air, like sulfuric acid, nitric acid, carbon dioxide. These are elements that the human eye cannot see. We're not X-Men characters out here. We don't have these special
right.
eye vision effects, but if we could see what's out there, I guarantee you we wouldn't be out here driving those cars that's popping out all that black smoke. I drove behind one of those the other day. I was so
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible. Um, and that's why it's good to get out into the country. It's good to do breathing exercises. Uh, that's one of the things I do when I take yoga, breath of fire. Um, I do other little breathing exercises. So it's good to do that. You know what I'm saying, to kind of work the lungs, try to expel some of that mucus. But it there's something we can't control everything. You know what I'm saying? We can't get around everything. So we can do little things to try to make things better for our outcome. You know, like getting out, going walking places where some good fresh air, um, things like that. You know, but lifestyle and food choices. There's back to the strokes and the high blood pressure, the cancer. I mean, it's all. It's really hard to get away from it unless you're really trying to do something. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep on living like we're living and thinking things are not gonna come to a head.
And also for the emotional eaters out there, man, we just have to stop and think before we go buy Wingstop and then turn around and get some ice cream and then turn around and say, dang, I want some candy. Like, it's a lot of emotional eaters on the men and female side of things for all races. And, sometimes we let our emotions get the best of us. I mean, you bored. Okay, for women, when we get bored, a lot of us just want to eat because we're bored. We've got nothing else to do as opposed to getting up, going outside, taking a walk,
Right.
clear your mind. And women have other issues that we have to deal with too, outside of the obvious, four things that I listed. We have to think about hormonal changes. We have to think about all that. There's a lot of things that can become imbalanced inside of a female's body versus a man's body, but we both still bear the risk of diseases that could be avoided if we just change our mindsets.
Most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. And that's something else I tell people all the time, like when they come to me, like there is there's a lot to healing. And it's not just what you eat, it's mental too. Also, a lot that has to do with healing has to do with holding on to things,
Mm.
forgiveness and anger. You really have to change internally if you want to heal. Grudges and anger and hatred, you gotta let that stuff go in order to heal. You know what I'm saying? So um, all of those things play a whole part in it. And I tell people all the time, there's another process called hypnopedia, and it's basically a process of kind of like manifestation. And also there's music. There's different music frequencies. You know what I'm saying? You can play. Also, that can help you with healing. So it's not just food. It's mental and it's internal. It's a lot of things.
Man, that's so profound, and you are absolutely correct. There's so much in this healing process. I mean, the mindset, the transformation of the mindset is key, but it is going to take a lot of steps in order
Yeah,
to succeed and fulfill that. Man, we don't even have enough time. There's so many more questions I want to ask you. So I know I'm definitely going to be bringing you back onto this show for sure, because I want to see how you progress, throughout the rest of this year and the years to come. People are just now starting to know who you are, what you're all about, and what you bring to the table. You really put me in the mindset of the modern day Dr. Sebi, with all the change that you're making, and also the headway the traction that you're gaining, just because you're doing the basics. You're doing what God intended us to do from the beginning, but we've gotten so far away from it. But just like the old saying goes, if you raise a child up, that apple don't fall too far from the tree. So it seems like some of us are pulling back together and getting back to our roots. And that, I appreciate you for that. I
yeah,
really do.
yes.
Now, what can you tell us to look for? What should we be looking out for Mr. Holistic in the future? You have any projects going on?
Yeah, you can be looking out for my website. I actually um, um I hadn't launched it yet because I haven't been satisfied with some things, but that's coming real soon. I plan on doing a YouTube channel here pretty soon in the future as well.
Please do the YouTube channel.
That's definitely in the working and in my vision, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, and I'm just here, what I'm saying. I'm dealing with a lot of people, and things are going good, and I'm excited. Um, there's so many stories that I would love to just really pour on you, but and maybe, what I'm saying, I look forward to you bringing me back, so maybe we can talk a little more in depth about some of that as well.
I absolutely have to bring you back, because I mean, you're just the epitome of self love. When you heal your body, your mind, your soul, that is the definition of self care, self love. So I'm gonna have you back. I just need to be able to catch you, because once you go Hollywood, that's it. You're
Uh,
gonna be like, who is she? Who is Sister Talk? Man, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah,
kidding.
I'm not gonna go.
But your time is coming. I'm telling you, because what you're doing, you may not see it now, but you are healing a lot of people, and you're also promoting change in the way people, their habits and their routine. And you're gonna make people think twice before they put the ice cream in their mouth. They might still eat it, but the next day they might think about, all right, I'm gonna eat some fruit.
Right.
Because there's a lot of fruits that are just equally sweet as the ice cream that we eat. Pineapple is one. You get a ripe pineapple or banana, even, it's sweet, real
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah. I don't promote pineapple though, because it's a
Uh
little
oh.
acidic side.
I love pineapples. Hold on now. Talk to me.
Get you a mango or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can rock with it. But I love pineapples. I ain't gonna lie. We'll talk more about that behind the scenes. I'm gonna try to get these gems from you before we go. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Sisters Talk podcast again. Our special guest, Mr. Holistic. Thank you so much for gracing us tonight with some valuable information. I hope you guys took away something from those stats that I gave you. 4 major disease killers in the Black community. Let's see if I can remember without cheating. First one was cancer. Second one was high blood pressure. Third one was stroke. And the last one was lung cancer. Now, that's just the top 4. There's many more on the list. It was a total of 7. And I know diabetes was one on the list as well. We all know somebody with diabetes, no matter what race they are, but especially in the Black community, because guess what? We like to pour that sugar in their tea. We like to put sugar on whatever else. We put sugar on meat. We put sugar on everything.
Yeah. I'd like to add something to what you said though, right quick. I just want to let everybody know one of the most important things is that colon, because colon cancer is on the rise. Being constipated, that's not no normal thing. If you are having less than 2 bowel movements a day, you're constipated. So you can't, and if you're going through problems right now, you are not going to be able to turn anything around in your favor until you get that colon cleansed.
See, so we need to hey, is it okay for them to hop in your inbox? You can get
Most
them
def-
your price to
most
let them know what they can purchase from you and
most
everything
def-
and get it going. Because I really appreciate you. You don't even know how many people you about to save just with this one show alone. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Holistic, for being on the show. And until we meet again, guys, hold on before I go because I think this is funny. Let me show you something. If you want to bend them knees like Kevin Gates doing, holla at Mr. Holistic. Stop playing. You want to bend them knees again? Because I know plenty of people who cannot bend their knees, and they're in their some of them in their 20s. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I think if they get with you, I think you might be able to kind of shape them up and change their
I,
life. You know what I
I,
mean?
most
And
def-
that's no pun intended to Kevin Gates. I just thought it was funny. That man living his whole life. He trying to reach his higher self. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Don't go anywhere, Mr. Holistic. Bye, guys. I'll see you next time.